Hi all, welcome you all to the lecture video session on sickness in SSI sector and need and rationale of SSI sector and the objectives of an SSI sector. We understand the need for the SSI sector is need for employment, need for equality, need for decentralization of the sectors and need for more entrepreneurs from the local community and to participate in a larger way. Need for more entrepreneurs is required so that they can give the employment to many people and contribute to the socio-economic growth. And the objectives of the SSI is to encourage setting up of the industries in small towns and villages so that people may not look for the cities only, and all kind of development will happen on the outskirts of the cities also, and most importantly in the rural side also. And it reduces the unemployment and it also helps in improving the cost of living, the standards of living, and it will also encourage the small entrepreneurs and help them to grow and realize their dreams, and it will also make the people to think innovatively and then develop a product which is going to be the need for the people. So all these are going to be the objectives of SSI. Once we understand the objectives of the SSI, once we know how to start an SSI, and we also understood that what are the problems that are faced by the SSI sector, we can also discuss about the scope of the small scale industries, where exactly this kind of small scale industries are going to find a place, the prominent place in the manufacturing activities, in the public utilities, in the financial activities, and in the construction activities, and also in the servicing and then the healthcare sector, and then the repairing activities, and also in the retailing activities, and also the wholesale business. All these are going to be the scope of the SSI sector. When we think about the SSI sector, we also thought that the best examples are like scientific instruments, and then the leather products, and then the wooden furniture, printing press, and also there could be the examples from like flour mills, foundries, electroplating industries, batteries manufacturing. All these are going to fall under the category of SSIs. So once we understand the type of the industries that comes under the SSI sector, we also need to understand how the sickness is caused in the, or how the sickness will spoil the entire small scale industries. When we understand the sickness in the SSI sector, what is the definition of the sickness in the SSI sector? It started from the time that the SSI has begun evolving, and over the time it got modified depending on the external environment. So normally a small scale industry is called as sick only when the small scale industry has got some kind of borrowed accounts, and which is not cleared even after an year, and there is a huge debt that is caused, and there is no resources. Even after selling all the resources, even after selling all the assets, if it is not going to meet the debt amount, then it is called as sickness in SSI sector. So if the borrowed accounts has remained overdue and for a period more than a year, and if it remains unchanged even if the present scenario changes, and this calls for the classification of account and the clarification of the account, and then this account is classified as the substandard account and it is reduced in the due course. And there is an erosion of the net worth. That means to say because of the losses that are incurred, the capital may get eroded. So the invested amount may try to compensate for the losses, and the total worthy investment will get eroded. So to an extent of around 50% of the net worth, if it gets reduced, then the SSI sector is called as a sick sector. And for the previous, when we compare the net worth during the previous year, if it is reduced to an extent of 50% in this present year, then the sickness is caused then we can say that the SSI sector is under the sickness. And the unit has been in the commercial production for at least 2 years continuously, and if there is no continuous development in the gross output, then also SSI sector falls into the sickness category. To avoid all this, the government of India Hi all, welcome you all to the lecture video session on the government policy and the development of the small scale sectors in India, and to understand that what are the different measures that are taken by the government of India to encourage the small scale industries. The government of India, over the decades, it has encouraged the small scale industries because of its numerous advantages that we have seen and then understood. Basically, the government objective and the intention towards the industries in general and the small scale industries is, in particular, it has made it very clear through establishing the industrial policy resolutions, that is called as IPR, industrial policy resolutions. These resolutions were announced in the year 1948, in the year 1956, 1977, 1980, 1990 and 1991, 1999 and 2003, 2005, 6 also. So let's understand each one of the industrial policy resolutions that are IPR independently, that is individually. First, let's understand IPR 1948. This was the first one soon after the independence. The first IPR encouraged the cottage industries because Mahatma Gandhi ji said that cottage industries are going to support the rural people to a larger extent, and they nurtured and this IPR 1948 focused on the cottage industries to nurture the cottage industries in their activity. Basically, the cottage industries were around the pottery and other industries which are by the local artisans, and these were made this IPR 1948 was made to resolve the problems of raw material, skilled labor, capital, transportation, marketing, etc. Next one is IPR 1956. It aimed at protection plus development. Several products, around 128 products, got reserved for the exclusive production in small scale sector. Not in the medium size industries cannot manufacture this 128 products that were listed for small scale industries. And IPR 1977, after 1956, IPR 1977 focused on protection plus development plus promotion of small scale sector. So in IPR 1956 it was only the protection plus development, and in 1977 the promotion of the small sector is also included into it, and it focused on the small scale business, and it basically classified the small scale sectors into three categories. The first one is cottage and household industries, second one is the tiny sector, and the third one is a small scale industry. The first, the cottage and the household industries were, like the name itself says that it goes with the artisans, and it goes with the small scale sector that can be developed from the place where they live. And the tiny sectors, SSI is called as a tiny sector, where the industrial unit investment, including the plant and machinery, is only up to 1 lakh rupees. So if the small scale industry is called as a SSI sector, if the investment is up to is between 10 lakhs to 15 lakh rupees and 10 lakh rupees, and if the SSI sector is called as an ancillary sector, if the investment is up to 15 lakh rupees, and if it supplies 50% of its product to the other industries, then it also increased the number of reserved items from 128 to 504 for exclusive production from the small scale industries sector. And IPR 1977 also proposed to set up district industries center, which got evolved into the DIC. And after IPR 1977, the IPR 1980 was proposed by the government of India. In this, the salient features that IPR 1980 has is, first one is investment ceiling limit has been raised from 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs in case of SSIs, and for ancillary units it got raised from 15 lakhs to rupees 25 lakhs. And for the promotion of village and the rural industries, several improvement plans were taken care in this IPR 1980. And IPR 1980 proposes the rural economy, which should be taken care so that the socio-economic growth would happen quickly. And after addressing all this, after raising the limits of investment, So after this, IPR 1990 was proposed. So in this lecture video, we discussed about the several industrial policy resolutions starting from 1948, 1956, 1977 and 1980. We are going to discuss in detail about the other IPRs starting from IPR 1990 in the next lecture video session. Thank you all, and see you all in the next lecture video session with other IPRs down the lane proposed by Government of India. Thank you everyone.